The applause still echoed in my ears when we stepped off the stage. Isabella's hand was warm on my arm, her smile flawless, practiced. "Ladies and gentlemen," she had said moments ago, "none of this would have been possible without my incredible husband, Adrian Cole. He's been my rock." Now that the crowd was gone, her voice changed. "You looked stiff up there?" I tried to smile. "You didn't exactly warn me about giving a speech," she rolled her eyes. "You don't need to talk, Adrian. You just need to look supportive." My chest tightened, but I forced a laugh. "Right, the perfect husband who nods on cue." "Exactly." She turned away, checking her phone. Her tone softened only when she answered a message. "Ryan says the board loved the presentation. Finally, some good news." Ryan. Again. The name tasted bitter. I leaned against the counter. "He's been calling a lot lately." She gave me a quick, cutting glance. "He's the COO. That's his job." "Right," I said quietly. "Just seems like he calls more than I do." "Because he actually handles things," she snapped. Then, as if remembering her mask, she added, "You're overthinking it." "Don't start," I didn't reply. I'd learned silence kept the peace, at least the illusion of it. Later that night, I sat in my office reviewing her company's reports, still trying to contribute. She'd built Hartman Industries from the ground up, but I'd been there from the first idea sketched on napkins. I believed we were partners, until her laughter echoed from the hallway outside my door. "I told you," her voice said, light and mocking. "He's harmless. A good face for interviews, nothing else." Ryan's deeper voice followed, smooth and confident. "A perfect trophy, Issa. You always did know how to accessorize power." "Don't make it sound cruel." She laughed again. "He's useful in public. People like the story of the humble husband behind the CEO. It sells empathy." I froze. Every word sank like glass into my skin. Ryan said something lower, something that made her giggle softly. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. When I finally opened the door, they were gone. Only the faint scent of her perfume lingered, sharp, expensive, suffocating. I sat at my desk until the city lights dimmed. My reflection in the glass looked foreign, a man who'd given everything for love that was only marketing. When she came home later, I pretended to be asleep. She climbed into bed, smelling of wine and confidence, not guilt. The next morning, I placed her coffee on the counter. "Busy day?" I asked. "Always," she replied, barely looking at me. "Ryan and I have a meeting with investors." "Don't wait for dinner," I smiled faintly. "Wouldn't dream of it." Her heels clicked out the door like a countdown. That evening, I went to the office to retrieve my things, small remnants of who I was before I became her prop. My nameplate was already gone from the shared office. Only her portrait hung on the wall now. Ryan's laughter drifted from the conference room. I paused outside the glass. "Once we finalize this merger," he said, "we can restructure. You know, trim some unnecessary attachments," she smirked. "Like what?" He grinned. "Like the husband who thinks he's still part of this company." "Careful," she said. "He's still my husband." "On paper," Ryan replied. Their laughter sounded like knives scraping glass. I turned away before they could see me. When I returned home, I found the note on my desk. Simple, elegant, cruel. Don't wait for me. No explanation. No apology. Just finality written in her perfect handwriting. The next morning, her lawyer called. "Mr. Cole, Mrs. Hartman would like you to sign the property division quietly. It's all in her name anyway. She's willing to offer financial compensation for your cooperation." I said nothing for several seconds. Then, "Tell her I don't want her money." He hesitated. "Sir, she insists this is best for both parties." "For her," I said softly. "Not for both." When I hung up, I stood in the center of the living room, our living room, surrounded by the ghosts of our early days. The nights we stayed up designing logos, the coffee-stained sketches, the promises of forever whispered between deadlines. It had all been real to me. That was my mistake. Marcus, an old college friend, called later. "Adrian, what the hell happened?" I saw the headlines, "She's restructuring without you?" "She's restructuring her life," I said dryly. "Man, you built half that company. You can't just walk away." "I already did," I replied. "She just made it official." There was silence on the line. Then Marcus sighed. "You're not the type to quit." "What's next?" I looked at the city skyline beyond the window, her billboards shining above the streets, her name on every building I once helped design. I don't know yet, I said finally. But I'm not done, Marcus hesitated. That sounds like revenge. It's not revenge, I said. It's recognition. One day she'll see exactly who she threw away, he exhaled slowly. Then make sure you become someone worth seeing. I already am, I whispered, more to myself than to him. That night, I packed my suitcase. I didn't take much, just a few shirts, my laptop, and a photo from the early days, Isabella laughing as I sketched on the back of a receipt. Smudged ink on her fingers, I tore it in half and kept only my side of the image. As I closed the door, I glanced back once. The apartment was spotless, soulless, like her perfection. Goodbye, Issa, I murmured. Keep your empire. The elevator doors closed with a soft hiss. In that silence, something inside me finally broke. Not my heart, but the illusion that love had ever protected me. The world outside smelled of rain and exhaust. I stepped into it with nothing but a name and a promise buried beneath my breath. One day, you'll know exactly who you lost. The papers lay between us like a final verdict. Isabella's pen didn't tremble once. Sign here, she said flatly. My lawyer's waiting. Her voice had no warmth, not even anger. Just business. I looked at the gold band still on my hand. You could have at least said goodbye properly, she sighed, impatient. Don't make this harder than it is. Harder? I gave a faint laugh. You tore down everything we built. What's left to make hard? Stop pretending we built it together. Her tone was sharp, defensive. You were a comfort, Adrian. That's all. I don't need comfort anymore. I studied her face one last time. Beautiful, cold, a masterpiece painted over ashes. Then I guess I was right, I whispered. You don't fall out of love. You climb out of it, one lie at a time, she looked away. Sign the papers. I did. Slowly. The ring slid off my finger, hitting the table with a soft clink. For a second, it sounded louder than her voice. When I left the office, Ryan was standing near the door. He didn't even try to look guilty. Adrian, he said, smiling thinly, no hard feelings. Business and love never mix, right? I stepped close enough to see my reflection in his smug grin. No hard feelings, I said. Just memories, he laughed. You'll land on your feet. You always seemed resilient. Resilient. That was his word for disposable. I walked out without another word. The rain outside was steady, almost kind. Days blurred into each other. Morning, coffee, silence. Evening, whiskey, regret. The house felt like a museum. Beautiful, empty, untouched by love. Mrs. Cole called from across the country. Son, she's not worth breaking yourself over. I'm not broken, I lied. Then why does your voice sound like you're trying not to breathe? I closed my eyes. Because I don't know how anymore, she paused. Then learn again. Start small. I hung up before I could crumble. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in a corner cafe, staring at my untouched espresso, when a man I'd never met stopped in front of me. Adrian Cole? He asked. His tone was calm, assured, the kind that made you listen. I nodded slowly. Do I know you? Lucas Chen, he said, pulling out the chair across from me. You might not remember, but I was at the Venture Gala 2 years ago. You and your ex-wife, made quite the speech about innovation. I gave a dry chuckle. She made the speech. I smiled on cue. He smiled slightly. Maybe, but I remember the way you looked at the numbers she presented. You noticed every flaw. I frowned. You were watching me? I watch people, he said simply. And I recognize potential when it's wasting away. I leaned back. If this is some kind of recruitment pitch, I'm not interested. Good, Lucas said. Because I don't hire people who don't know who they are. I teach them to find out. I arched a brow. And what exactly do you think I am? He studied me for a moment. A man who spent years building something he doesn't own. But you're not angry about losing her. You're angry about losing yourself. The words hit harder than they should have. I looked down at the table, tracing a drop of water from my cup. So what? You're some kind of therapist? He laughed quietly. No, I'm a businessman. I rebuild things, companies, brands, sometimes people. You fit the last category, I hesitated. Why help me? He shrugged. Because I see a man who could be dangerous if he learned how to use his mind instead of his pain. I met his gaze. And what do you get out of it? He smirked. A student, maybe a partner someday. Depends on how badly you want to stop bleeding. For the first time in months, I actually smiled. You make bleeding sound optional. It is, he said. You just keep reopening the same wound. Let it scar, then use it. I leaned forward. What's the first lesson? He tapped the table twice. Discipline. Stop waking up for her ghost. Start waking up for yourself. Over the next few weeks, Lucas introduced me to his world. Spreadsheets, balance sheets, the quiet language of power. We met in cafes, libraries, and offices that smelled of ambition. He didn't talk about emotions. He talked about numbers, patterns, leverage, but somehow every lesson felt like therapy. You don't need to beat her, he said one afternoon. You need to outgrow her shadow. She was everything I had, I muttered. No, he corrected. She was everything you gave. That's different. The line stuck with me. I started waking earlier, replacing whiskey with black coffee. I read books about markets, mergers, and leadership until my nights bled into mornings. I didn't understand half of it at first, but Lucas pushed me relentlessly. He'd call it odd hours. What's your plan this week? Learning valuation models, I'd answer groggily. He'd grunt approval. Good. Learn the game before you play it. One night, after another long session of notes and formulas, I stared at the old wedding photo still sitting on my shelf. I didn't cry this time. I didn't rage, I just said quietly, You took my world, Issa, but I'm building another one. My phone buzzed. A message from Lucas. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. We talk about building your first company. I smiled for the first time in months. The ring I once wore sat beside the coffee mug. I picked it up, feeling the faint scratch where it had rested for years. Then, without thinking, I dropped it into the trash. The sound it made wasn't pain anymore. It was freedom. Patience, Lucas said, tapping his pen on the desk. You've got the fire. Now you need control. I leaned back, forcing myself not to argue. Control doesn't build companies. Action does. He smiled faintly. Spoken like a man who's lost something. You can't build from anger, Adrian. You build from clarity. I exhaled, staring at the spreadsheet glowing on the screen. Clarity's overrated. Pain keeps me focused. Then use it, he said calmly. But stop bleeding on every deal. That was Lucas. Never loud, never emotional. Just truth, cold and surgical. I followed him through months of sleepless nights and endless lessons. Finance, mergers, risk management. I devoured it all. My hands, once shaking from heartbreak, now trembled with caffeine and purpose. When I finally presented my first proposal, Lucas didn't even look up. Too aggressive, I frowned. It's clean, solid numbers. He finally met my eyes. You're trying to hurt someone with this plan, not grow something. Start again. I gritted my teeth, deleting the file. You ever get tired of being right? Every day, he said dryly. Now try humility. A few months later, I created a holding company, Iron Veil Industries. The name wasn't random. Iron for strength. Veil for the mask I'd learned to wear. Nobody knew I owned it. I liked it that way. I wasn't Adrian Cole, the ex-husband, anymore. I was a ghost with assets. One afternoon, I sat in a small co-working space reviewing potential hires when a woman's voice cut through the quiet. Are you the guy offering the PR contract? I looked up. Depends who's asking. She stepped inside, confident, professional, carrying exhaustion in her eyes. Evelyn Shaw. I used to work for Hartman Corp. Until your ex's pet snake, Ryan, fired me for having an opinion. My eyebrows lifted. Ryan Drake? The same. He tried to blame a media leak on me. She dropped a folder on the table. Wasn't me, but it didn't matter. They needed someone to sacrifice. I flipped through her resume. You worked on Hartman's public campaigns? For 3 years. Helped make your ex look like a saint. Her lips curved into a small, bitter smile. Sorry, that was rude. Accurate, I said. Her eyes flicked up to mine. So, what exactly is Iron Veil? You've got no public board, no address, and no one seems to know who you are. I hesitated. Then, Let's just say I prefer to work quietly. She tilted her head. Quiet's good, as long as it pays. It does. She slid into the chair opposite me. So, what do you need? I want to buy small firms, I said. Ones with value but no voice. You'll shape their image, make them desirable before we flip or merge them. Her smile sharpened. You're not building a business, you're building a weapon. I shrugged. Depends on who you ask. And who are you aiming at? I didn't answer. She studied me for a second, then nodded. Fine, I'll play along. Just don't waste my time. Deal, I said. Weeks turned into months of movement and calculation. Evelyn worked like a storm, precise, fierce, unafraid to argue. You can't buy every struggling firm that catches your eye, she said one morning, leaning against my desk. I can if I see potential, I replied. Potential doesn't pay rent, she countered. Strategy does, I smirked. You sound like Lucas. Smart man, she said. Lucas entered right then, amused. Flattering, but she's right. You're moving too fast again. I sighed. You both enjoy slowing me down, don't you? Evelyn chuckled. Someone has to keep you from setting the world on fire. I looked at her, the confidence, the quick wit. She reminded me of who I used to be before love turned me cautious. Lucas glanced between us and said, Good. You finally have someone who argues back. Evelyn grinned. Don't worry, mister. Chen, I argue with everyone equally. By the end of that quarter, Iron Veil owned 3 companies, all previously dismissed by Isabella's firm as non-scalable. One manufactured eco-friendly packaging, another specialized in rural logistics, and the third handled digital consultancy. They weren't glamorous, but they made money, quietly, steadily. Evelyn studied the data, whistling low. You realize Hartman Corp rejected every one of these 2 years ago? Yeah, I said. She said they lacked vision. Evelyn smiled. Looks like her vision's my paycheck. Lucas chuckled. Don't celebrate yet. Success isn't measured in revenge. I looked up. Then what is it measured in? Peace, he said simply. And you're not there yet. I didn't respond. He was right. I still checked business news for her name more than I wanted to admit. Every headline mentioning Hartman Corp made my pulse spike. Evelyn noticed once. You still keeping tabs on her? I closed the laptop. Old habit. She's not worth it, she said softly. Maybe, I murmured, but she's part of the lesson. She studied me quietly, then said, Fine, just don't mistake moving on for winning. Late one evening, Lucas invited me to dinner. The restaurant was quiet, dimly lit, the kind of place where deals were whispered, not signed. He poured me a drink and said, You remind me of Marcus Hale. The venture capitalist? Lucas nodded. He built an empire after being betrayed by his own brother, but he never learned to stop fighting ghosts. I frowned. And what happened to him? He died rich, Lucas said, but alone. I swirled the glass in my hand. You think that's where I'm headed? He smiled slightly. That depends. Are you building wealth? Or building armor? I looked down, the words echoing too closely. When I returned to the office that night, Evelyn was still working. You look haunted, she said. Just thinking, I muttered. About her? No, I said. About me, she smiled faintly. Good, because you're worth thinking about. I met her gaze. You always this blunt? Only with men who need reminding, they're not defined by the people who broke them. For the first time in a long time, I laughed. As I left, she called after me. Adrian? Yeah? Whatever you're building, make sure it's not just a monument to pain. I didn't answer. But in the silence that followed, I realized she wasn't wrong. Ashes could build something stronger, if I gave them value. The chandeliers glimmered above me, throwing gold across the ballroom like nothing in the world had ever gone wrong. I adjusted my cufflinks, the same brand she once gifted me years ago, Poetic Symmetry. Lucas's voice echoed in my ear through the small earpiece. You're early. That's unlike you. Just wanted a good view, I murmured. It's been 2 years since I last saw her. You ready? He asked. I'm not sure, I said quietly. But she will be. The orchestra's hum softened as Isabella Hartman entered the room, arm in arm with a new investor. The same woman who once ruled the market with a smile that could bankrupt confidence now looked lighter, desperate almost, beneath her perfect posture. Ryan wasn't by her side. His name hadn't been in the news for months except for whispers of missing funds. A waiter approached me. Mr. Hale sends his regards. He'll join you soon. Marcus Hale, the man who could make or destroy reputations with a handshake. He was Lucas's old rival and now my silent partner. I nodded, keeping my attention on Isabella. When she finally noticed me, her steps faltered. Her mask slipped for a heartbeat before she caught herself. Adrian, she said, almost disbelieving as she approached. I didn't know you'd be here, I smiled faintly. You didn't invite me, she laughed, soft and strained. It's been a long time. You look different. Alive? I asked. Her eyes flickered. Successful, I tilted my head. I had a good teacher. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You heard about the company, I assume. Everyone has, I said. Hartman Industries. Once a giant, now under audit, wasn't it? Her voice tightened. Rumors. Ryan's mistake, not mine. I'm cleaning it up. I studied her face. Still flawless, still proud, but the edges were cracking. Heard he left the country. She hesitated, just enough to confirm it. You've been keeping tabs? I like staying informed, I said lightly. Old habit. Her eyes narrowed, calculating. And what are you doing now? Investment management, I said. Small ventures. Nothing dramatic. She leaned closer, the perfume familiar and sharp. You were never small, Adrian. You just didn't know how to use it, I chuckled. I learned. The silence stretched between us, comfortable for me, suffocating for her. She shifted the topic first. Maybe we should talk sometime, she said softly. Catch up properly. Maybe, I replied, sipping my drink. Though I charge consulting fees now, she blinked. Consulting? For lost causes, I said with a smile. Expensive ones. Before she could respond, a voice cut through the tension. Adrian Cole, as I live and breathe. Marcus Hale strode over, confident as ever. Isabella still running the room? She smiled tightly. Trying. Marcus turned to me. We were just discussing your proposal this morning. You really think you can turn that shipping firm around? I don't think, I said. I know, Isabella's brow furrowed. You two are working together? Marcus grinned. The man's brilliant. You'd be surprised what he's been building while the rest of us were distracted. Her gaze snapped to me. Building? I gave her a polite smile. Something sustainable. The band struck up again, and Marcus excused himself to greet another group. Isabella's hand brushed my sleeve. So that's who you're dealing with now. Marcus Hale, the same man who tried to buy Hartman Corp years ago. Funny, I said. I remember you calling him reckless. I called him dangerous, she corrected. Then maybe we have something in common, I said. Her lips parted, but no sound came. I could almost see the storm brewing behind her calm expression. She exhaled softly. You're different, colder. I had to adapt. To what? She asked quietly. To life after lies. Her smile faltered, just enough for me to enjoy it. You really hate me that much? I looked at her for a long moment. No, I said honestly. Hate requires effort. She looked away, voice shaking slightly. You were always better at pretending. Maybe, I said, but I never pretended to love you. Her eyes glistened. Pride or pain, I couldn't tell. She opened her mouth, closed it again, then simply whispered, I made a mistake. I nodded once. You made a choice. She took a step back, regaining her composure. You'll regret saying that one day. I doubt it, I said. Regret's a luxury I stopped affording. Later that night, I stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Lucas joined me, handing over a glass of scotch. So? He asked. She's crumbling, I said. The company's next. Ryan left her a mess. Lucas nodded. And you'll buy it piece by piece. I already started, I said, pulling up my phone and showing him a portfolio list. Shell firms, offshore trusts. Her debt's floating, waiting for an owner. He smiled. And you'll own it. Not me, I said. Iron Veil, he chuckled. You're ruthless. I'm patient, I corrected. She took everything from me. I'm just reclaiming the pieces. Lucas took a sip. You sure it's not personal? Of course it's personal, I said. That's what makes it satisfying. He gave a quiet laugh. Fair enough. But remember, power is best used when no one knows you have it. I intend to keep it that way. As I left the gala, a young journalist stopped me near the exit. Mr. Cole? Nora Kim, the Financial Post, you're hard to track down. Maybe I like it that way. She smiled. You've been quietly acquiring some interesting companies. Any comment on rumors you're tied to Hartman Corp's restructuring? I looked her straight in the eye. No comment. But if you're smart, Ms. Kim, you'll watch closely. She scribbled something in her notebook. Is that a hint? Consider it an education, I said, walking away. The night air was cool, clean. Somewhere inside, the orchestra still played her favorite waltz. I didn't look back. The queen had started her fall, and I was the gravity. The news broke on a Monday morning. Hartman Corp declares insolvency after financial misconduct scandal. I read the headline twice, sipping my coffee in silence. Ryan Drake's photo was plastered beside Isabella's. Both of them caught mid-laughter from some old press event. Beneath it, COO disappears amid allegations of embezzlement. Fitting, I murmured. Lucas called minutes later. So it's done. It's poetic, I said. She built her kingdom with arrogance. He burned it down with greed, he chuckled. And you're the one who handed him the match. Not directly, I said. I just moved the wind. Lucas's tone softened. Be careful. Even karma leaves ashes, I didn't answer. I was already thinking of my next move. That evening, my phone rang again. An unfamiliar number. Adrian? Her voice froze me for a second. Softer than I remembered, stripped of command. Isabella. There was silence, then a shaky exhale. I didn't know who else to call. I leaned back. That's new. Don't start, she whispered. You've seen the news. Ryan took everything. The accounts, the clients, the patents. I can't control what you built. I finished for her. She went quiet. Finally, she said, I need help. I almost laughed. From me? Yes, she said quickly. I know how it sounds, but please. I can't lose everything. I let the words hang between us, savoring them. What exactly do you want, Issa? I need an investor, she said. Someone credible to stabilize the board's trust. I heard you're in finance now. I am, I said. Then, but I don't work for you anymore. She hesitated. I'm not asking you to. Good, I said. Because I don't. Please, Adrian, she said, voice breaking slightly. You were always the one person I could trust. That made me laugh, low and sharp. You really shouldn't say things like that. They sound ridiculous coming from you. I know I hurt you, she said quietly. But this isn't about the past. It's business. Everything with you was business, I said. The silence on her end felt heavy, like confession. Meet me, she said. Just once. Hear me out, I paused. Fine, tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office. Your office? She echoed. Yes, I said. Don't be late. The next morning, she arrived in black, simple, elegant, diminished. Even her confidence seemed smaller. She glanced around the office. Nice place. It's functional, I said. Like me. Her eyes lingered on the Iron Veil logo on the wall. I've heard that name. You're behind Iron Veil? Among others, I said. Have a seat. She sat, smoothing her skirt. You've done well for yourself. I learned from the best, I said dryly. She smiled faintly. I deserved that. No, I said. You deserved worse. But I'm trying to be civilized, she sighed. Adrian, please. I didn't come here to argue. I came to ask for help. Ask, then. I want to save Hartman Corp, she said. There's still potential. The patents, the brand, the network. If I can find a major investor, I can rebuild. You have the influence now, I steepled my fingers. And what would I get? Her eyes met mine. A stake in the new company. Control, if that's what you want. I studied her carefully. Control? Yes, she said. You'd call the shots. I'd work under your direction, I leaned forward. Say that again, she hesitated. You'd have full control. No, I said softly. The other part, she swallowed. I'd work under you. Something cold and satisfying moved through me. You understand what that means, right? I asked. She nodded. Yes, you'd report to me. Follow my decisions publicly. Yes, she whispered. I smiled. Then we have an agreement. Relief flashed in her eyes. Thank you, Adrian. You won't regret this. I already do, I said quietly. She frowned. What? Nothing, I said, standing. My legal team will handle the paperwork. You'll receive the terms by tonight. She stood too. You're saving me. No, I said. I'm owning you. Her lips parted, but no words came out. As she left, Lucas stepped into the doorway. That went well? She agreed, I said. Of course she did. Desperation breeds obedience. I nodded, staring out the window. It's strange. What is? Hearing her say she'd work under me. I thought it would feel better. Lucas handed me a file. Revenge feels like victory until you realize it's just exhaustion wearing a crown. I smirked. That's poetic. Borrowed from Reverend Paul, he said. He wanted to see you, by the way. Tell him I'm busy, Lucas chuckled. You always are. Later that night, I found myself in Reverend Paul's office anyway. The old man looked up from his desk and smiled. I was starting to think you'd forgotten how to sit still, he said. I almost did, I replied. He gestured to the seat across from him. So you won. I did, I said. She's under me now. The company's mine and everything but name, he nodded slowly. And yet you sound tired. I thought I'd feel satisfied. Do you? I hesitated. No, it feels hollow, he leaned forward. That's because revenge feeds pride, not peace. And pride's always hungry. I stared at my hands. Then what's the point? He smiled gently. You'll find out when you stop counting her losses and start counting your gains. Maybe, I said. But tonight I just want quiet, he nodded. Quiet's a start. The next morning, Isabella arrived at my office again, her tone brisk and professional. The documents came through. I've signed. I scanned the files. Good. From this moment, Hartman Corp operates as a subsidiary of Iron Veil Holdings. Her breath caught. Subsidiary? Didn't you read the fine print? I asked, her lips tightened. You tricked me. No, I said calmly. You begged me. I just gave you terms. She stepped closer, voice trembling. You wanted this. Yes, I said. And now I have it, she glared at me. You're enjoying this. I looked at her. Truly looked. Not as much as I thought I would. She turned away. Then why do it? Because you taught me how, I said. That night, as I watched the contracts finalize on my screen, I expected triumph. Instead, I felt nothing. No rush, no fire, just a quiet ache where love used to be. I leaned back, closing my eyes. Victory without peace. Poetic, maybe, but still empty. Your schedule's full again, Evelyn said, handing me the folder. 4 meetings back to back, 2 investor calls, and Isabella wants to see you at noon. I barely looked up. Tell her to wait. She's been waiting all morning. I sighed. Then she's learning patience. Evelyn hesitated. Adrian, maybe she's not your enemy anymore. Maybe, I muttered. But I'm not her savior either. By the time Isabella walked in, the air in my office already felt colder. She stood near the door, posture stiff, hands clasped. You wanted to see me, I said, not looking up from my laptop. Yes, she said softly. About the quarterly report. Numbers don't lie, Issa. People do. Her jaw tightened. I'm not lying. I closed the laptop. Then tell me something honest. Her voice wavered. I didn't expect working under you to be this hard. You expected mercy, I said. But mercy isn't part of business, she flinched. I'm not asking for mercy. I'm trying, I leaned back, studying her. Trying to do what? Redeem yourself? Impress me? Her eyes flickered. Both, I laughed quietly. Honest answer, finally. I deserve that, she said, lowering her gaze. Yes, I said. You do, she hesitated. You've changed, Adrian. You used to be kind. I was naive, I corrected. Kindness without boundaries isn't virtue. It's weakness. Her lips trembled. And now? What are you? Efficient, I said simply. She turned away. You sound like Ryan. Don't compare me to him. I'm not, she said quickly. But I can't ignore what I did. Every time I look at you, I see what I destroyed. I exhaled. Then stop looking. Her voice broke. I can't. Silence hung heavy between us. When she left, I didn't stop her. But for the first time in months, her words stayed. That evening, I called Reverend Paul. You still at the chapel? He chuckled over the phone. You only call when something cracks. I think I broke twice, I said. Come by, he replied. Doors are open. The chapel smelled of candle wax and rain. Reverend Paul sat near the altar, polishing a brass cross. You look tired, he said. But rich, I smiled faintly. Success doesn't cure insomnia. He gestured for me to sit. Tell me what's eating you. I did it, I said. I took everything back. My company's thriving. She's under me. The people who mocked me answer to my name now. Sounds like justice. That's what I thought, I said quietly. But it feels empty, he nodded. Because you mistook revenge for closure. I looked at the stained glass windows, fractured light painting the floor. She regrets it. I can see it in her eyes. But every time she apologizes, I feel nothing. Not satisfaction, not pity. Just nothing, he smiled gently. Forgiving doesn't erase the past. It frees you from carrying it, I frowned. You think I should forgive her? I think you already have. You just don't know what to do with the peace that follows. I don't feel peaceful. You will, he said. When you stop defining your life by what she broke. I stared at the floor. What if that's all I know? Then learn again, he said softly. You've rebuilt an empire, Adrian. Try rebuilding yourself, I laughed bitterly. Easier said than done, he grinned. Everything worth doing is. When I returned home, my mother was sitting by the window. She was visiting from out of town, her presence both grounding and unsettling. You didn't tell me you were coming, I said. I wanted to see how success looks on my son, she said with a small smile. It suits you less than I thought, I smirked. That obvious? She looked at me closely. You have everything you once dreamed of. Why do you look like you've lost more? I hesitated. Because maybe I have. Her? No, I said. Myself. She reached across the table, her hand warm on mine. Then stop punishing yourself for surviving. I looked at her. I wasn't supposed to survive her. But you did, she said. And that's what makes her powerless. I swallowed. She came to me today. Said I've changed. Have you? Yes, I admitted. I don't feel hate anymore. I just feel hollow. Then fill the hollow with something better, she said simply. I smiled faintly. You make it sound easy. It's not, she said. But you're my son. You've done harder things. The next morning, Isabella entered my office again, quieter than usual. You asked for the new projections? She said. I nodded. Leave them there. She lingered. Adrian, can I ask you something? Depends on the question. Do you still hate me? I looked at her for a long moment. No, her eyes widened. You don't? I don't have the energy for hate anymore, she swallowed. Then what do you feel? Nothing, I said honestly. And that scares me, she nodded slowly. I wish I could go back. To what? I asked. To when you still looked at me like I was worth something. I closed my eyes briefly. You were worth something, Isa. You just didn't believe it. Her voice trembled. And now? Now, I said quietly. You're looking at the man who learned to live without needing anyone's belief. She turned away, tears glinting. I'm proud of you. I didn't do it for your approval, I said softly. She nodded. I know. She walked out, leaving the faint echo of her heels fading down the hall. That night, I sat by the window, the city lights flickering like ghosts. My reflection stared back at me, older, colder, but clearer. Reverend Paul's words echoed in my head. Forgiving doesn't erase the past. It frees you from carrying it. For the first time I understood, I wasn't carrying her anymore. I was carrying what she left behind. Guilt, pride, and a man I barely recognized. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to let him go too. The sound of her heels echoed through the corridor before I even looked up. Isabella stepped into my office with that same familiar blend of confidence and fear, clutching a file like it was armor. Close the door, I said. She did. Her voice trembled slightly. I didn't come for business today. That's new, I said. Then why are you here? Her gaze met mine, desperate yet steady. Because I can't carry this anymore. I leaned back. Carry what? Regret? She nodded. Everything. The choices, the lies, the way I treated you. I thought power meant control. But it only made me blind. I didn't speak. Silence has weight, and right now it was crushing her. She stepped closer. I never stopped loving you, Adrian. The words hung between us, heavy and late. I tried to move on, she said. But every time I saw your name in the papers, I felt jealous? I interrupted. No, she whispered. Proud and ashamed. I looked at her. Really looked. The woman who once ruled every boardroom now stood trembling in mine, stripped of everything but honesty. You're too late, I said quietly. I know, she said, her voice breaking. But I needed to say it. I stood walking toward the window. Do you want forgiveness, Issa? I want to be seen, she said. I turned. I saw you once. You just didn't see me. Her lip quivered. And now? Now I see a stranger who's still learning what love isn't. She closed her eyes, tears spilling freely. You wanted me to hurt, didn't you? I did, I said. For a long time. I wanted you to lose everything the way I did. She nodded. And now? Now I just pity you. Her breath caught. That's worse. Yes, I said softly. That's the point. She took a step forward. You win, I shook my head. It was never a game. Then why does it feel like I'm the loser? Because you waited too long, I said. And because I stopped playing. A knock at the door broke the tension. Evelyn stepped in, her smile soft but knowing. Sorry to interrupt, she said. Marcus is downstairs waiting for you, Adrian. He wants to finalize the foundation launch. Isabella turned sharply. Foundation? Evelyn nodded. Yes, we're starting a nonprofit to fund small business programs for underprivileged entrepreneurs. Adrian's idea? Isabella's expression faltered. You're doing this. Together? Evelyn smiled gently. He asked me to help lead it. I looked at Isabella. Something built from healing, not hate. Her voice trembled. You found peace. With her? I found myself, I said. She just reminded me I could. Evelyn looked between us, sensing the current in the air. I'll give you two a moment, she said, stepping out. When the door closed, Isabella let out a shaky breath. You replaced me. No, I said. You abandoned me. There's a difference. She walked closer, her voice rising. You think she understands you? That she knows what it's like to build an empire from nothing? She doesn't have to, I said. She knows how to build without destroying. Her eyes filled again. Does she love you? Yes, I said simply. And she never needed to own me to prove it. She shook her head slowly. You sound so sure. I am, I said. Because love doesn't ask for submission. It asks for peace, her voice cracked. Then where does that leave me? In the past, I said, she covered her mouth, fighting a sob. I thought I'd have time to fix this. You had years, I said. You used them to run. She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. You're so calm, so untouchable. I had to be, I said quietly. Pain taught me discipline. Loneliness taught me strength. But peace, I paused. Peace taught me distance. She wiped her tears and whispered, I wish I'd known how to love you right. I wish I'd known how to stop sooner, I said. The silence stretched again. For once, I didn't feel it. A soft knock came and Evelyn poked her head in. Marcus is waiting. He says the press is ready. I nodded. Tell him I'll be down. She smiled. Of course, Isabella's eyes followed her. She's beautiful. She's kind, I said. Does she know everything? Enough, I said. But she doesn't see me as a victim. She sees me as someone who grew. Isabella gave a broken laugh. You always needed someone to believe in you. No, I said. I just needed to believe in myself. She helped me do that. Her shoulders slumped. So this is it. This is closure, I said. She nodded slowly, trying to smile. I deserve this ending, don't I? Maybe, I said. But endings aren't punishment. They're just truth. She stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. Adrian, if I could go back, you can't, I said. And neither can I. Her tears fell freely now. You really don't hate me anymore? No, I said softly. You taught me how to lose. She taught me how to live. She pressed her hand against her chest as if trying to hold her heart together. You always did have the last word. Only when it matters, I said. Evelyn re-entered, gentle but firm. We're ready, Adrian, I nodded, taking one last look at Isabella. Goodbye, Issa. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. I turned and walked out before the silence became a plea. Downstairs, the cameras flashed as Marcus shook my hand. You look lighter, he said. Maybe I am, I replied. Evelyn smiled beside me. Told you this would feel better than revenge. I smiled faintly. You were right, she squeezed my hand. Let's build something worth remembering. As the reporters surrounded us, I glanced once at the glass balcony above. Isabella stood there watching, smaller than ever but finally still. And for the first time in years, I felt nothing but peace. The morning air smelled of rain and paint. I stood before what was once the Hartman building. Glass, marble, and pride now softened into a public arts foundation. The name Hartman had been replaced by the Haven Project, a place for new beginnings. Evelyn parked beside me, the wind tugging at her coat. You sure you want to go in? I smiled faintly. I've been standing outside this building for half my life. Might as well walk through it once more. We entered the lobby. The same floors still gleamed, but now children's laughter filled the space where deals and betrayals once echoed. Evelyn looked around, smiling. It's strange. Feels lighter here. Maybe because the ghost left, I said quietly. She glanced at me. Or maybe one of them finally forgave himself. I didn't answer. My eyes had already found her. Across the room, Isabella sat by a display table surrounded by soft paintings, seas, skies, and silence. She looked older, gentler. There was no diamond watch, no entourage, just her and a canvas titled Resilience. Evelyn followed my gaze. That's her, isn't it? I nodded. Yeah, she tilted her head. She doesn't see you. No, I said softly. And that's fine. For a moment, I just watched. The woman who once held the world now blended quietly into it. Her hair was streaked with silver, her hands marked by paint. There was something almost poetic about it, the fall of a queen who finally learned how to be human. Evelyn's voice broke the silence. You ever think about talking to her? I used to, I said. But some conversations are better left to time. She hurt you deeply, Adrian. She also taught me who I didn't want to become. Evelyn smiled. That sounds like peace. Maybe it is. We walked further inside. A group of teenagers painted on a shared canvas, their laughter light and raw. I stopped beside them, watching one boy mix blue into gold. He looked up. You like art, mister? I smiled. I like what it makes people feel. He grinned and went back to work. Evelyn squeezed my hand. You're smiling again. Feels strange, I said. Good strange? The best kind. We sat on a nearby bench facing the exhibit. Isabella stood now, talking to an elderly couple who admired her work. Her tone was soft, no longer commanding, just kind. Evelyn leaned closer. You don't hate her anymore, do you? No, I said after a pause. Karma isn't punishment. It's evolution. She had to burn to learn, Evelyn nodded. And you? I had to burn to rebuild. Her hand found mine, fingers lacing through with quiet certainty. Do you ever miss the fire? I looked at her and smiled. Not anymore. I think I finally like the dawn, she laughed softly. That's very poetic of you, Mr. Hale. Don't start, I said, chuckling. We watched the sky through the glass dome, sunlight breaking through the gray, scattering warmth across the marble. For the first time, I realized how still my mind felt. No resentment, no hunger for revenge. Just calm, Evelyn whispered. Reverend Paul would be proud of you. I nodded. He used to say peace is the only wealth that doesn't decay. I didn't understand it then. And now? Now I do, I said. Because I've had everything else. And it all fades. Evelyn smiled, resting her head on my shoulder. So what now? We build, I said simply. Not to prove anything, just to create something worth leaving behind. That's the Adrian I fell for, she said softly. I looked at her, remembering every version of myself. The man humiliated in silence. The man who rebuilt in anger. The man who finally learned to breathe again. Funny, I said. I had to lose everything to find that man. She squeezed my hand tighter. And now that you have? I'm never letting him go. A quiet moment passed before I spoke again. You know, I made her rich once, Evelyn smiled. And now? Now, I said, exhaling slowly, I make myself whole. She looked at me, eyes glimmering. Then let's keep doing that. Together. Always. We stood, walking toward the door. Behind us, the sound of laughter and soft music followed like a farewell. Outside, the city glowed in the gold of early evening. The wind carried hints of paint, rain, and forgiveness. Evelyn brushed a strand of hair from her face. "It's beautiful today." "It is," I said, watching the horizon. "Feels like the first morning after a long fire," she smiled. "A new beginning," I nodded. "The one we earned." As we walked away, I glanced one last time through the glass. Isabella sat back down, a faint smile on her lips as she painted a sunrise. The same colors that lit the sky above us. I didn't need to say goodbye. Life had already done it for me. Evelyn slipped her arm through mine. "Ready?" I looked at her, at the life I built from ashes, and whispered, "More than ever." We walked toward the light.